Oh, beautiful shot, Adam.
4 years ago, we had the privilege of following Best of the West pro dealer John Shafter on his high-adventure mountain goat hunt in British Columbia. On day 10 of a 10-day hunt, John successfully climbed within 600 yards of a mature billy. With an incredibly tight shot window, John touched off a perfectly placed shot. The good news is, the billy is down. But the bad news is, the billy is on a cliff face. The decision was made to push the billy over the edge in order to get it to a safer location to work on it. With cameras rolling, the countdown began.
3, 2, 1, rolling!
Can't thank these guys enough. You guys did a great job. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good job, Donnie. Good shot. Thanks.
Some of the most iconic footage in the Best of the West's archives come from pursuing these incredible animals. Here's a quick look back at some of our most memorable mountain goat hunts from over the years. 3 years ago, father and son Nick and Mark Sainer hunted Kodiak Island for late-season billies. If there's one thing that Kodiak Island can produce, it's bad weather. High winds and daily rain showers made for a challenging hunt. Despite the unfavorable conditions, Mark made a perfect shot on his billy from 370 yards away. After a perfectly executed stalk, Nick quickly dials in his billy before it can sneak over the ridge. So if there's two things that Kodiak Island can produce, it's bad weather and big billies.
Every year? Yeah. Nice.
Back in 2014, friend of the show Rich Snyder and Best of the West field host Jim Sessions headed into the backcountry of Colorado in search of mountain monarchs. Rich had the good fortune of locating his billy within a mile of camp, having been told to let him have it once he stands up. Old Rich did exactly that.
Congratulations, Rich, on an awesome Colorado mountain goat.
Thanks so much, sir. Trophy of a lifetime. Thanks for making this a reality.
After a successful stone sheep hunt in the remote wilderness of British Columbia, Andrew Bromley put an exclamation point on his hunt by taking his first mountain goat from 351 yards away.
There you go.
With 9-inch horns and only 2 teeth left, this billy aged at 13 years old.
Teeth. He's only got one left.
I told you, he's grandpa, man.
He's got 2, sorry, he's got 2 left.
He is one age. He's one old goat.
2 teeth left.
He's like you after your hunt.
To round things out from our most memorable goat hunts is Robert Kogar. After a 5-hour climb to get into position, Robert made a cross-canyon shot from 450 yards away to seal the deal on day 5 of his hunt. If a mountain goat wasn't already on your bucket list, hopefully it is now. A very physically demanding hunt that often requires skilled marksmanship and a fair amount of determination. On this week's episode of the Best of the West, we are privileged to be heading up the mountain with Adam Millburn for late-season mountain goats with our friends at Bolen Lewis Trophy Guiding.
Back when I was 37 years old, I had the opportunity to hunt mountain goats in Montana, and I had a great hunt, but it was an early hunt. And I always had the dream of coming back before I'm too old, or was too old, get back up in the high country. But this time I wanted to hunt those long-haired monarchs of the mountain, these late-season mountain goats that live in such a tremendously beautiful but yet dangerous terrain and climate. About 7 years ago, I was fortunate to become involved with Best of the West and Husqvarna Optics. I'd never shot probably more than 300 yards and didn't feel confident in doing so. Once I was introduced to that gun, I realized that my effective range went up dramatically, and now today I feel confident in that 550-yard range, even more so than I did in the past at 300 yards. That's given me many, many more opportunities than I've ever had in the past with regard to the ability to ethically and successfully harvest big game animals. Last September, I had a sheep tag in northwest Wyoming and had a hunt booked with John Porter. To my surprise, when I showed up to get ready to head out to camp, I found out that the show was going to be filmed for the Best of the West TV show. And on this hunt, I was able to take my first Rocky Mountain bighorn with the longest shot that I've ever made on a big game animal. And having that confidence to be able to make a shot when the hunt of a lifetime presents itself, or the opportunity of a lifetime, knowing that when the critical moment of truth comes, I'm going to be able to execute where I need to.
It's time to lace up the boots when the Best of the West returns. Keep it right here on your Long Range Hunting Authority. The Best of the West is brought to you by Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Zeiss spotting scopes and range-finding binoculars. Huntin' Fool. The Best of the West shooting systems. Defiance Custom Actions. The Wild Sheep Foundation. Huskama Optics and LongRangeStore.com.
Lots of stuff to hang on to. Yeah. But it's not too steep. Like, no. It's not dangerous steep.
Yeah, it's just a seeding you look at.
Yes, yeah. It always looks steeper than what it is, actually. I really enjoy what I do. I love these mountain goats. I love where they are, where they live in these mountains, the remoteness of it, and the challenge of it. It is steep and rugged here, and very wet. These mountains can be really slippery. Everything you're stepping on, from logs to rocks to branches on the ground, make things very slippery and difficult to navigate through. So you want to take your time, be sure of your footing, and try to get up and down these mountains safely so you can do it all again the next day.
Brad and Logan had spotted a group of 4 billies high up above some waterfalls, and along with several other groups up high on the mountain. But getting into position was going to take a lot of effort. But we knew we were going to be facing bad weather for the duration of this hunt, and our opportunities and windows to be able to have a chance to be successful were going to be limited. But on this opening morning, it really looked as though things were going to come together.
Made a plan. We got down into a creek bed, and we hiked up the creek bed for a ways, and then we got up, going up the mountain into some thick old growth timber, and climbed, and eventually we, thought, okay, this is far enough. We'll try and poke out of the timber and see if we can get a shot. And Brad and I went out, and it wasn't happening the way it was. We were a little bit too low, and the goats were kind of around the little bit of a knob, and it was just too difficult for a shot. We were running out of daylight, and things weren't really matching up, and it wasn't happening for us then.
During the 4-hour stalk to get into position for a shot, the goats fed over a range into a cut that wasn't accessible. Cutting losses instead of a tag was a rough start for day 1. Even though the plan failed, the goal remains. For tips on how to best prepare for your next high country adventure, here is Jared Peterson with this week's shooting tip.
The 3 most overlooked challenges people overlook when it comes to shooting in the backcountry is obviously compensating for wind, compensating for an angle, incline or decline, and shooting in a variety of different shooting positions. I like to practice in hunting scenarios. My target was 800 yards, corrected distance was 780 with that 10-degree angle. I had to hold about 1.5 minutes for wind, and I practiced that shot in a variety of different hunting positions. Angle compensation is a key factor when you're mountain hunting. We use the Zeiss range-finding binoculars because they give you a true corrected distance. With the Huskama system, once you get that corrected distance, all you have to do is dial to the yardage and take your shot. So when you're hunting on the mountain, wind's going to be a factor at some point on the hunt, and a lot of the times you're going to have to shoot in wind. So you've got to be able to compensate for that wind, and the best way to do that is just to get out and practice. Pick a day where it's really windy. My advice is to have a wind meter on you, read the wind with that wind meter, and then shoot, and then know what your bullet's going to do, given it's a 5-mile-an-hour wind, 10-mile-an-hour, 15-mile-an-hour, and get familiar with those wind calls. So when it comes to shooting positions, take the time to go out in the terrain that you're going to be hunting in and practice those shots. Practice shooting kneeling, practice shooting sitting. When you're shooting in these positions, make sure you take out your equipment that you're going to be using. A front rest, whether that's a tripod or a bipod, and a rear bag of some sort, so you can take those shots ethically. There are so many different variables when mountain hunting that you need to be prepared for, and if you're not prepared, it'll come back to bite you. But if you are prepared for them, then you're ready to take that shot of a lifetime.
When the best of the West continues, it's make or break for Adam's goat hunt.
One interesting thing about this hunt that I honestly didn't realize until I showed up here in northern BC was the length of daylight. Really, you only have maybe 8.5 hours of daylight to be able to get into where the goats are, harvest a goat, and then hopefully make your way out or close to being out in daylight to avoid the dangers that are associated with goat hunting. Well, having to do all that in such a short period of time, decisions have to be made quick. One of the very challenging decisions is the billy that you're looking at, if you're fortunate enough to find one that you want to go after. You think about that, the difference between an 8-inch billy and a 9-inch billy is about that. Well, when you're looking at 1,000 yards or 2,000 yards away, it's basically impossible to be able to figure out. Brad and Logan have an incredible eye for being able to judge the goats that we were looking at, but when we found goats on the third day, we didn't know if it was a shooter or not. But we had made the decision to go after it. I was here for an incredible experience and a great hunt.
See that row of trees that's closer to us? It goes from top to the bottom. Yeah. We can get just on the other side, and it's like 500 yards to where they are right there.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. How do you approach that? You just side hill around?
Yeah, we'll just go down here across the creek, and then we'll kind of get down to the bottom of these slides in those trees down low, and then we'll just go up, shoot up through that slide, and get into those trees there.
On day 3, we were able to get into this valley and spot these goats right off the bat, right from the quads. It was about 9 in the morning. It had taken us an hour to get in there on the quads. The weather was good, visibility was good, and as soon as we got there, we immediately spotted a billy and a nanny together halfway up the valley. We saw another billy and nanny farther up the valley past the first two. We decided we were going to make a play on those first 2 goats. It took us about 2.5 hours to get up to where the goat was at. We went through a mixture of Devil's Club, alder, and old growth forest to get up to him.
As we left to start to make our way toward the goats, I just kept thinking, are we making good time? Are we making good progress? And am I slowing everybody down, or are we doing well? And step by step, you can't really see where the goats are. You hope that they're there. You're covering as much ground as you can, as fast as you can. And I found, for me, it wasn't necessarily the physical exertion, my heart pounding so much from the effort, although it was the adrenaline. I had a certain anxiousness within me. Am I going to make it in time? Are the goats still going to be there? So we finally get, after a few hours, to 900 yards from these goats. And in that one spot, we were able to get a good look of where they were. Well, at this point, they're already up and milling around up on the bluff that they were on, which even makes me more anxious because I know we still have another at least 400 to 500 yards to be able to get in a position or the distance where I felt comfortable in making an ethical shot. Well, after about 30 minutes of frantically searching, Logan finds a good location where I can get what's important to me, a very, very solid rest, and then additionally, we can get a good camera angle. So we finally get set up. I'm comfortable. The camera's set up. The goats are on their feet. They're kind of up and down. And I hear zippers rustling in a backpack over to my left, which is the cameraman. And I thought, why isn't he on the camera? And on this hunt, we didn't actually talk about it, but due to airline issues, my personal rifle didn't make it. So here I was as a right-handed shooter using a left-handed Best of the West 7mm with an incredible Husqvarna scope on it for the first time other than sighting in before the hunt. But I hear the cameraman opening and closing his backpack, and then he looks at me and he says, I don't have any more bullets. So I said, well, we have the 3 in the gun, right? And he said, yes. I said, well, I think that's all we're going to need. And that's the level of confidence I have in this rifle and optic system. So I really get settled in. I set up for the shot. Actual ballistic distance is 455 yards. And I know I only have 3 shots, but in my heart, I feel as though I only need 1. I set up, ask everybody, are we ready?
He's turning. Where's your shot?
Yep, you got him. You got him.
He did?
He's rolling. Beautiful shot at him.
The Best of the West is brought to you by Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Zeiss spotting scopes and range-finding binoculars. Huntin' Fool. The Best of the West shooting systems. Defiance Custom Actions. The Wild Sheep Foundation. Husqvarna Optics and LongRangeStore.com. For more information about the products and gear used on today's show, please visit LongRangeStore.com or call 1-866-754-7618. For information about hunting with Bolen Lewis, please contact Dave at 1-801-358-5441 or dave@bolenlewis.com.
He's turning. Where's your shot?
Okay, take your time. Check your bubble.
Yep, you got him. You got him.
He did?
He's rolling. Come on, boy. Yeah, buddy. Oh, beautiful shot at him. Oh my gosh.
Way to go.
Congratulations.
Way
You guys
to
are
go.
the best. All 3 of you gentlemen.
Oh, Brad. Oh yeah, good job, buddy.
Nice job, boys.
Great shot.
Whew, beauty shot. Tumbled him.
Yeah.
First long-haired BC Billy. You know what? I don't think I could have gone another, you want to know how far I can still go on this trip? I can go up there.
You can get up to that goat, I bet.
And then, hopefully he's still rolling. What a day, huh?
What a day. That's awesome.
We had an incredible day, as you can see here today, up here in the Coast Mountains of British Columbia. For many years I wanted to hunt mountain goats, these big long-haired monarchs that live in this incredibly harsh country, and to have the chance to do it this year was an amazing opportunity, and I wouldn't have chosen anybody other than Bolen Lewis for the opportunity to come up here and hunt. Brad and Logan, I can't say enough about what they did, and they even played a little joke on me here. They got to the goat before I did, and my big concern, as you could see from the kill scene, was that he took quite a tumble, and I was quite nervous that perhaps he lost a horn or maybe both.
Logan and I got up here a little ways before Adam, and we noticed that one of the horns had popped off. So we just clambered up to the base of these cliffs that the goat pitched off of, and sure enough, Logan picked up that horn, which doesn't happen very often. And so when we did that, we looked back, and these guys still hadn't seen us yet. So Logan quickly pocketed the horn, and we got back down to the goat, and Adam came up to it, said, "Oh, horn's off. You guys find it?" Logan's like, "No, needle in a haystack, no way. So he let that go, and we were just biding our time waiting for Adam to turn away. We wanted to pop the horn back on and surprise him, but the goat fell over and the horn flipped off again. So
Yeah.
it wasn't as smooth as we were planned.
I thought I was seeing things when that happened.
Yeah.
But he's here like he's got like a loose tooth, is what it looks like.
It was
right
a
now.
good surprise, anyways. All right, Adam.
It sure was.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I knew that I wanted to be able to harvest a long-haired billy one time in my life, and I'll be 50 this next year. There's a lot of things that I want to do. Goat hunting has been on my list for a long time, but as we were working our way back on the final leg of the journey, making our way back out of those beautiful mountains, I told everybody, I said, hey, I'm retired. And they looked at me, what? I said, from goat hunting. That's it for me. And I don't know if it was symbolic, but within 100 yards of the quads, the walking stick that I've used for years and years snapped in two. So maybe that's a sign. I don't know. I'll take it as one, but I don't think that I'll ever hunt mountain goats again. That is, unless I draw a tag out west next year.